Hi all, happy Monday. My name is Troy Smith. I report to Tony Botello and my team is part of the Operations Shared Services Group in Managed Services. We manage all things Salesforce and all the integrations that connect to Salesforce. Let's talk about motivation. Enough motivation and we can do almost anything, right? When you're motivated, you can do any number of things. You can run a marathon, start a business, restore a 1969 Pontiac GTO, like this one. All these things are a series of small things, and it's really those small things that matter. Just because I desire to restore my GTO doesn't make it automatically restore itself, right? No, it takes hours and hours of repairing, replacing, wrenching, tuning to get it where I want it to be. We also know that motivation is a lot like the gas in this GTO's gas tank. Turns out, just like gasoline, motivation is very finite. We only have so much. And sometimes we run out. So what happens if we run out of motivation? Well, we just don't feel like doing the thing. We come up with all kinds of reasons not to do the thing. To do something when we don't feel like it, we have a couple of options. We can get motivated. We increase our desire to take action. Or we can use willpower. And willpower is like having a backup gas can if, say, my GTO runs out of gas. It's the backup fuel source. Motivation really, though, isn't just one cup, right? It's a bunch of cups. Maybe even a crazy number of cups. Like one for everything we would want to do, right? So we could have almost an infinite amount of cups. So how do we manage all this? Maybe this will help. These cups represent our fuel sources. And I would call them our health cups, right? We've got exercise. We've got nutrition. So we need to stay active and we need to get the proper food and water and minerals and nutrients in our body. And we need enough sleep. We'll just stick the willpower cup up here as well. And for folks that put faith up high on the list, you could put that cup here too. Now, there could actually be different sizes of motivation cups, right? Bigger cups might be big goals, smaller ones might be small goals or tasks, but you get the idea. But it's a constant up and down balancing act to keep all of these from going empty. Motivation cups run empty. They can borrow a little bit from the willpower cup, right? Until motivation can be replenished. But problem is, it seems like that eventually I'm going to run out of willpower. Seems like a problem. Well, it turns out I've got some pretty hefty health goals this coming year. I want to lose 50 pounds by April 30th. That's one of them. And maybe some of you can relate, have had similar goals. And we start off great, and then as the days wear on, life gets busy, Thanksgiving season. And we find out that, I do it anyway, that I'm finding out as the days move on that I'm using more of my willpower throughout the day. So by the time the day is over, I'm not making the best choices. Why is that? Well, I have no motivation and I have no willpower. It's a dangerous combination. In come the excuses. I'm tired. I'm sick. I've had a bad day. Now, I could possibly move my important habits to the beginning of the day when I have a full tank of willpower. And that's certainly one strategy, but it's not always possible. I mean, there must be another way so that I'm not always relying on having plenty of motivation and enough willpower. Enter mini habits. What are mini habits? Well, start the cheesy announcer voice. Do you have some unfulfilled goal or desire in your life? Do you want results? Think small, not just small, stupid small. That's mini habits. I know that sounds goofy. But mini habits, atomic habits, tiny habits, they're all books. They're about the same subject and they're essentially saying the same thing with a few differences, but they're basically saying to do the big things, you got to focus on the small things, on the really small things. How? How do we do this? Well, first, you can identify something that you want to do. It can be concrete or abstract. For example, let's go back to my lose 50 pounds by April 30th goal. So I would start by creating a stupid small daily goal. Now the key, it has to be laughingly easy to accomplish, and I have to commit to doing it every day. So a daily nutrition goal might be to eat 1 serving of fruit a day. A daily exercise goal might be to do 1 push-up or walk on the treadmill for 1 minute. Sounds kind of absurd at first, doesn't it? How's that even going to get you to your goal? Sounds stupid? Well, that's kind of the point. You've got to make it so small that you can still do it even on your worst day. Do the tiny, stupid, small thing every single day. Seems crazy. Why would this work? You all understand compound interest, right? It's the interest calculated on the principal and the interest accumulated over the previous period so that it snowballs and as it goes forward. Well, many habits kind of work the same way. They build that momentum, they get that snowballing effect, and that stupid small thing becomes a catalyst to keeping the machine running. One day I do 1 push-up. Many days, likely most days, I'm going to do more than 1 push-up. Some days, I'm going to do a lot more than 1 push-up. And so as long as I do the 1 push-up, the check marks add up, and in my brain, the progress compounds. And here's the magic. It restores my lost motivation, and it begins to fill my cup, and I didn't have to drain my willpower to do it. Stephen Guise says 1 small step plus desired behavior equals high probability of future steps. James Clear says small habits don't add up, they compound. That's the power of atomic habits. Try tiny changes, remarkable results. So Troy, if you're so smart, then why do you have to lose 50 pounds? That would be a valid question. Well, life threw me some curveballs. And honestly, I quit doing the stupid small things. To be very transparent, the past few years have been, in a word, challenging. Back in a former life, I was a certified personal trainer. So most of my life, I've known what to do. 4 years ago, I was trucking along, doing mostly the right things, life getting a hold of me a little bit and, kind of doing as things do. And then the pandemic hit and really threw my schedule all out of whack. Good habits fell off, bad habits came in and set up shop. Yeah, thanks, comfort food. But I was still working out, even though I had a lot of other not so great habits, eating habits particularly. And then 3 years ago, I developed a debilitating nerve thing in my back, which affected my ability to exercise like I had been. So as you can imagine, there goes that cup. Then 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes, which began affecting other cups. Then right at a year ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which is a brain disease that affects all the cups. Really, no joke. And so I'm figuring that there are some of you that might be watching this that have had many or all of your cups flipped over. Maybe you feel like you're starting over. Whether you're starting over or just need a reboot, you have to get back to it. So where do we go from here? It's always good to start with the big cups and get those filled first. First, we got to find our big cups. Seems I broke my sleep cup. We're going to pretend these hold water now. It'll be important to make sure that your health cups get filled first. Because if you try to do that out of order, that's going to be a problem. Then, once you get your big cups filled up, then you can focus on your other goals. And one of the main things you're going to want to realize in doing this is that you need to manage the number of many habits like you manage the habits themselves. Small number, no more than 3 at a time. If you will go above that and you get really aggressive, you're going to get so overwhelmed with managing the system that it's going to start falling apart and the whole thing is going to collapse. Trust me on this. That's happened to me. But once stabilized on one thing, then you can move to another thing. It might take 4 weeks, might take 4 months on each individual thing. Really depends on the goal and how big it is and how hard and difficult it is. But eventually, you're going to be able to move and get everything back in order. It might take some time. This is not an easy, speed thing. It's going to take a little bit of time. See the links below for the mechanics on how to set all of that up. There are a lot of good resources there. But you want to track it. Make sure you're tracking it. Make a checklist for your refrigerator or dry erase board. Get an app on your phone. I've linked some of those in the description. If you're a techie and on your computer all day and you want to put this in a macro-enabled color-coded spreadsheet, be my guest. But do what works for you. Having too many cups is going to unbalance the system. It's not manageable. And just like habits, you got to keep the numbers simple. Keep them small. Don't let the management of your habits kill your motivation and drain your cups. Once your cup is drained, it tends to suck motivation from all the other cups. And the long-term effect is that everything will drain out and you'll become unbalanced and the whole system gets thrown off and it'll collapse. Like I said, it happened to me. From closing cases and answering the last few emails after a long, stressful giving season day to researching whatever, good cup management is how we get stuff done. Make sure you got enough fuel in your tanks. Synergy is when all the cups or all the tanks are filled and they're draining and filling at a rate that is sustainable across the whole system. It's stable. For more information on creating effective habits to keep your tanks full, I've provided links in the description to several resources that should help. And just one more thing, if your cups are all tipped over and you think that you can't possibly get ahead, let me show you something. you can make a huge difference in the lives of others. And you might say, Troy, how can I possibly do that? I don't have anything left. Check this out. You're going to love it. You've had a rough day after work. It's giving season, been a long day, and you're at the grocery store getting some ingredients to make tacos, because we all know that tacos make you feel better. You approach the cashier, and they really don't look to be in a great mood. You say, hey there, how's your day? They reply, ugh, been better. Maybe you reply, yeah, I know what you mean. And then maybe you smile really big, show all your teeth, make a funny face even, stick out your tongue, whatever. And the cashier smiles back. You reply, feel better? And they might say, maybe a little bit. You might even start giggling, who knows? But you see what you've done? You've created motivation out of thin air, and you transferred it from your magical source to one or two of their cups. But what can happen is as you fill your cup, or take your cup and you start to pour a little bit into their cup, you're actually creating it out of thin air. And you can actually overflow their cup, and they can even pay it forward. So the trick is to keep our tanks, our cups, from running empty. Adequate sleep, good nutrition, exercise. You get the idea. I'd like to sit around here and talk to you all a little bit more, but now I'm so motivated, I've got to go rearrange my spark plugs. So make it a great day.